NUX sent out this pedal board and asked me to have some fun with it. So, in this video, that's what we're going to do. This video is a long one because I play through each one of these pedals in turn and not always in a logical order. It's also a bit chaotic because there's some surprises in some of these pedals that I didn't know about whilst reading the manuals. So, I hope you enjoy it. I'll put chapters to each pedal in the video description and it'll come up on your screen if you want to click to the pedal you want to see. But I recommend, well, watching all of it. Enjoy. It is their core pedals. So at the top left, we've got the loop core, which is a looper. In the middle there, we've got the amp core, which is their amp simulator and IR loader. There's the verb core, which is a reverb. A time core, which is a delay, the mod core, which is modulation, drive core, which is, yes, overdrive pedals, metal core, which is high gain stuff, a comp core, which is a compressor, and then the flow tuner. And that's all powered by their Zeus power supply, and it's all mounted on their Bumblebee pedal board. And the signal path is out of my guitar into the tuner, all the way through there, all the way through those pedals, out of the loop core, and I'm monitoring it through this Tonex powered FRFR cab, and it's also going directly into my Zoom recorder, which is how you're hearing it. So there's no mics or anything involved, it is a direct signal. Let's hear what it sounds like without any pedals on. So metal core off, and then amp core disengaged. This is just the guitar. So let's kick in the amp core, and this is the basis of my tone, so this is the amp sim. And I've already played with the pedals for a couple of hours, and the Fender setting on this amp core is my favourite pedal platform, but we'll go into the other amps in a bit. So just as a Fender, and then if I stick the Verb Core on, so let's have a bit more, shall we? And that's pretty lovely. It is unusual for me to have a reverb pedal before the amp sim, but it does make sense. In the amp core, there's also a send and return, so you could put it in there, but I'm playing the pedal board as NUX have sent it out, and that's what I'm sticking to currently. And to go straight into it, there are some fantastic sounds built into this, and I'm going to go into as many as I can in this video, but I do want to address a sort of elephant in the room. I've always thought of NUX as a budget brand, and these pedals are not super expensive, but on a board like this, when you calculate and add all the numbers together with computers, you get quite a high number. So some of these pedals are less than 100 notes, and they're about 89 euros where I'm living. And then some of them are around sort of under 200-ish, and some of them just go over 200, which means this board is actually over 1,000 euros. And that's not overly expensive, it's just more money than I expected this to be when I accepted the invitation to make this video. So I was going to do like a budget pedal thing, but they're not actually, the whole rig is not budget. So for the price of these, you could actually get a rather decent digital modeler. What you don't get is the stomp box-ness of it all and the tactile feelings, and I kind of prefer stomp boxes on a pedal board to a multi-effects. And the downside there is you lose the flexibility of patches from a multi-effects system, but you gain all these knobs and all these switches and foot switches, and you can do it on the fly. And while these are digital pedals and they have menus and sub-menus in them, you don't have to dive so deep as you would on a multi-effects. Right, let's have some more sounds. I'll stick with my Silverface pedal platform. We'll have some Verb, but we'll back that off a little bit. And we'll do some drive core. Now, this has more than one drive in it, so let's see what it sounds like on the ODR setting. quite dark. Let's flip it up to maybe the TS9 setting. And let's put that level up a little bit. And the tone, it seems still dark. So let's talk about the drive core for a moment, and I have to refer to my notes because there are so many pedals on this pedal. There are 8 drives on here, and some of them are clear what they are. So the TS808 and the TS9 are Tube Screamers, SSD, RDirt, OD1, Distortion Plus, ODR, and NUX Mod are less obvious. Let's start with the TS808. It's got that Tube Screamer nasal sound. Even more so on the TS9. The SSD. Just sounds like a great overdrive. The RDist. What is that? Is that a rat? I don't think that is a rat. What is that? Aha! Ah, it's the Red Dirt Overdrive. I've never heard of that. Genuinely. I like it. OD1, right? I know what that is. Everything sounds super nasal. Distortion Plus. Oh, now we're getting into fuzzy territory. I'm digging that. Then we've got ODR. Really like that. And then the NUX Mod, which, hang on, no, let's play it first. I think the NUX Mod might be my favorite. What, like, it's their version, surely. Is it a NUX modded? It's an ODR1 bass cut modification. Okay, so it's the ODR1 from Nobles, but modded. Well, bass cut. I'll say that again, bass cut. There's a lot there to like. I mean, I know I'm not twiddling the knobs and everything, but let's see what's the fuzziest I can get out of this. Because there is a severe lack of fuzz on this board. In fact, no, let's go up here. This pedal does all kinds of things. There's a noise gate there. So we want to... There. I might need to adjust that again in a moment. There's also a post boost on this, which you can engage by holding down the foot switch. But let's push the the drive up there on the NUX Mod. No, let's go by the Distortion Plus. I'm feeling that one. And then I'll kick in the post boost midway. Let's give it a bit of modulation. Oh! So the drive core does get fuzzy, it does get aggressive, it doesn't sound digital to me. And none of this sounds sort of cheap digital modeler sounds, which I have heard in the past from these types of pedals. This NUX core range seems to have jumped to the next level of keeping it fairly budget, but spending enough money when building the pedals to make sure they actually sound decent. So none of those drives, to me, have problems with them, which I have had problems with these sort of multi-pedals in the past, especially at these price points. Now, it is a drive pedal, which also does this kind of ampy overdrive sound. It doesn't really go into high gain territory without a combination from the amp core, but we're just going to go straight to the metal core to get some high gain. And for this one, it's got 3 different high gain circuits modelings in it. And you can change that with this switch just here. So the top one is the dual rectifier from Mesa Boogie. The next one is called the Fireman, but it's actually the Friedman BE100. And then we've got a diesel VH4, which in the real world, the VH4 is one of my favorite high gain amps, as is the dual rectifier. I don't really have an opinion on the Friedman, so we'll find out if this, I don't know, let me know if this pedal sounds like it at all. So, clean tone. Let's do dual rec first. And finally, the VH4. So the VH4 sounds a bit weak, but if I engage alternate mode by holding down the foot switch, it gives it a bit more oomph. Which is a bit weird, because if I'm playing and I try to switch to alternate mode, where are you? Hang on. There. So, regular mode. There's a little moment where it turns off the pedal and you get the clean tone coming through. What? So, regular, red. I don't like that. I would want to switch from regular mode to alternate mode without having the clean in the middle. Then you can use this as some sort of different tone. Yeah, it doesn't work the way that I would want it to work, but it is cool that it's there. I think NUX should change that. What's cool about this as well is it has an IR loader in it too, and that means that if you want to run this preamp straight to the cab, you can. So at the moment I've got the IR turned off, but if you disengage the power to the pedal and then hold down the foot switch, I believe, then power up the pedal, it'll turn your IRs on so you can go straight to a powered cab. And that's very cool. So another little hidden feature that these things are giving even more value. I kind of want to max the gain on this just to see if I can get a better sound at the VH4. I'm not particularly happy with that sound. Now I got nothing. What have I done? I appear to have broken the pedal by holding down the button for too long. That's weird. I genuinely don't know what I've done there. What have I done to the VH4? Okay, it turns out that you can break the VH4 if you do what I just did. Is it the... No, wait. I think it might be the noise gate. It's not the noise gate on the amp core. I do not know what I've done there. Right, let's move on to another pedal. When that pedal works, and when I haven't broken it, I really enjoy that. Genuinely, the metal core and the drive core together with the amp core is a killer setup. But let's explore the sounds of the amp core, which you cannot change amps, as far as I know, with your foot. You can change within the patch from one Fender to a different Fender. Can you see that that picture is slightly changing? So going from deluxe reverb. Where is it? Sorry, twin reverb to deluxe reverb. Yes. So the twin is what? The twin is the smaller one. Okay, I guess it's wider. It's not to scale. What I want to do here is just showcase some different amps, and you can do that by twiddling this knob over on the left-hand side to a 60s boutique amp, which to me looks like a Fender Tweed. A Tweedy, yes. So let's put spring on there. There we go. Bring that delay down. That's really bassy for a Tweed. I do appear to be having some problems with signal. Everything is feeding in, as it should. Maybe there's an issue with one of the patch cables because I'm playing the board as it arrived at the studio, which does lead me to a nice accidental segue into what that little black box does on the side. This here is a tester, a multi-tester. Is that on autofocus? Yes, it is. So this, you can test your patch cables and your DC cables, your power cables, and it's a tuner. So you can tune your guitar using this tuner. Hang on, where is it? Press the button. Hold it down, turn it on. There, tuner. Or if you plug in one of the patch cables, which I can do, let's take this out. Oh. There, right. So if I do this, there. So there's the doohickey. Plug that in that side. Plug it in. Is it going to reach the other side? And it tells me that the cable works. So using this, I can find out if any of the cables are duff. So bear with me while I do that. I have tested all of these cables. I'm getting poked by my back. And nothing seems to be the problem, which is very odd because something should be the problem. Maybe just some dirt got stuck in there, or I don't know, maybe just some gremlins. Let's hope it doesn't happen again. I guess that's the advantage of using a multi-effects. Watching and finding out what what's it called, troubleshooting, is much easier than those, although if one thing dies, the whole thing dies. I once saw Shed 7 on stage in Gloucester Guildhall, and the guitar player from Shed 7 decided to kick his pedalboard across the floor because something wasn't working, and it was a dead battery somewhere. That's a blast from the past. Hilarious moment that I can now relate to. Does it still work? No, what have I done? Now nothing's working. What have you done? Ah. Aha. It seems to be the mod core that is playing up. I genuinely have no idea what's going on right now with this board. If this ever happens to you, of course, take out one pedal and see when the problem stops. I'm not going to do that because I think I've fixed it, and I think the problem is actually the tuner, which disappoints me because I really do like this tuner. The tuner has this sort of soft touch, almost spacebar-like switch on top, And I think it sort of got stuck or something. It's not a metal stompy switch. It's more of a modern touch me gently switch. But the tuner itself is great. I love that big display. Damn this guitar for being in tune. Ah. So if you go sharp, it starts to show red stuff. If you go flat, it's not enough yellow. In the middle, these two big white arrows show up. On stage, that would be amazing, assuming that the foot switch is okay. I just think that's got some dust or dirt or something in it. Yeah, everything's working. Nothing's working. It's not the tuner. Oh no. I'm powering everything off. I'm waiting some seconds. I'm powering it back up. Come on. What is going on? Oh. Okay, the tweak knob on the Univibe is a volume. I feel like a Class A fool. Yeah, if you have the tweak knob down on the mod core and you're in Univibe mode, it acts as a mute. Well, now you know. Oh, I know your time is precious. Right, what haven't I done? The comp core. I'm going to switch guitars to single coils, and we'll talk about the comp core, because this thing confuses the heck out of me. Okay, it doesn't pick up the next note as much as I'd like it to. So as I'm tuning, it gets a bit confused if I go to the B. You see that? Yeah, it still stays on the D. This tuner does have various modes. Maybe changing that would help. So the comp core, I'm going to go back to the other Fender, the Silverface. I prefer that. Oh no, I was supposed to... I've totally lost control in this video. I was going to go through the amps in the amp core. I will come back to that, I promise. I'll take it back to the Fender Silverface for now to show you the comp core. Then we'll go back to the amp core. So here it is with just the amp core. Got a comp core. Let's employ that tuner again. Now, the tone on this adds a load of clickiness and high end. I had a nightmare with this pedal at first. I had the clipping setting, the sustain there, and it was doing stuff that I really didn't like. But that, what is that? But if you pick gently... That's lovely. Without it? So it's really messing with my dynamics. However, if you kick hard, hit hard on the guitar, it does that, and that is rubbish. So don't do that. But wherever I had it earlier is beautiful. And there's no secondary foot switch thing. It's either on or off. The tone, I think it's a bit too bright generally. I should have given you a warning then, sorry. Take the tone all the way down, it's still super bright. Okay, guessing down there, but it gets bright very quickly. And once I turn it off, it feels like the guitar is lackluster. And I know it's a bit louder there, but I miss it without it. Something like there's like a blanket over the guitar. I don't know much about compressors, if I'm honest, in the sense that I know how they work, I know what they do. I don't use them much in my live setup. This is apparently a studio-style compressor. So I can't really review a compressor because I don't have much experience with them. I've always been use the distortion as the leveler. However, having played through this and trying to figure out what was making that sound I didn't like, I learned a lot. And I think there are times in some of the covers bands I've played in where I definitely could have done with this compressor pedal. Yeah, I think I've made mistakes in the past by ignoring compressors. So at this price point, that's probably a good one to get started with. However, hit it in the wrong way, have it set up incorrectly, and it's going to kill your tone. So learn how to use it first, unlike I did. Back to the amp core. Yes, so this is another digital pedal. We cycle through the different amps by doing this. And I'm just going to pick out some of my favorites because I don't necessarily like all of them at the moment. And as far as I can tell, this sparkly gold finish is my favorite thing about the pedal, including that and that Fender tone. Mayor's tone, what does that sound like? So that's mode 1 of Mayor's tone. What's mode 2? Pretty good. Let's switch to a Les Paul and see if it does the Marshally thing. Quite a different sound with humbuckers. All right. Where would my British sound be? British classic? Don't want that. I want brown sound? No. Classic rock, almost. Come on, give me... Oh, Plexi, I guess. Origin Plexi 59. Let's see what that sounds like. That sounds terrible. What have I done? So, Origin Plexi 59. Don't like that very much. What's this? I'm not a fan of that. I do have to point out that I factory reset this amp core when it arrived. Everything else is as I received it. sometimes factory presets are not the best way to check something, but I'm not going to make patches for this. I am, however, going to increase the level of that a little bit. Maybe we need more volume. That doesn't sound right to me. It sounds digital. I prefer the drive core with the amp core on the Fender. When I say digital, I mean it doesn't feel like I'm playing through an amp in that one. I'm not enjoying the amp core very much. Why is that? 80s lead? I think there's a lot left to be desired there. That is not something that I would enjoy. What about that one? It just feels small. I'm going to leave it there with the amp core, I think. Maybe it needs a firmware update. Maybe the presets are notoriously bad. It might sound good to you. In the room, it just doesn't... It feels like a small amp. Whereas putting the Fender style amp and then the drive core sounds huge. Sounds like a real amp. Or the metal core even. That's really weird. It disappoints me. And this where I have to bring up the fact that I can only experience and review what's in front of me. Verb Core. I'm gonna take this back to the Silverface, which I really dig, both of them, and play with this Verb Core just for a little bit. Oh my goodness. On that pedal it says hold for surprise. I'm gonna hold it. I'm not that surprised. Maybe bring the level up a bit. I really like that they've written hold for surprise there. That really appeals to the child in me. And you could have just said, or it could have just said hold to freeze or something like that. Does it say that? I'm just checking it. Sometimes I don't trust my own eyes or brain. It does say hold for surprise. That's brilliant. That's really good fun. So I'm going to find my favorite reverb. That's The Room. And I'm switching guitars again because I'm feeling uninspired with this. What's that next one? Hall. That's quite nice. Let's have a bit of a more decay on that. The plate? Plate is often my favorite type of reverb. I think it's tone of the reverb. Now we've got something called dampened, or damp. Nice, it's not enveloping my tone. Let's bring up that revel a little bit. Oh. I do love a little bit of shimmery. What was that called? Shim. Spring. All right, here is the benchmark of all reverbs. Does it spring? Doesn't really drip. Yeah, that's tone. It does sound like a digital spring, but it's okay. It gets you there. It wouldn't be enough for a surf band. Verb. Is that a tremolo verb? That is beautiful. That is absolutely lovely. That is quite simply one of my favourite sounds so far. I really, really enjoy that. I could spend a lot of time with that. But let's move on to Modverb. What is Modverb? Unsurprisingly, it's modulation reverb. It's a bit lackluster after that tremolo verb for me. With that shim and with this, they seem a bit gimmicky. It's probably just my style of playing that doesn't fit that. I like it, it's fun. But the tremolo verb is where it's at. All the other meat potatoes verbs, they're pretty good. All right, well done, NUX, on that one. The time core. My goodness, so many pedals. Now, there's no way I can go through all of this pedal because of all these different settings, but we'll just go the different types. So we're starting off with Phi. What the frig is Phi? Oh, yeah, it is one. Okay. What about, it's nice. What about the analog? This is going to be the boss one. That's very pretty. Mod D? What is this? That's the Ibanez DML modulation. Tape delay? Yeah, I dig that. It's not the best tape delay, but it is better than some. What's that one? Pan. Oh, I'm not in stereo. So it's just kind of fading out because we don't have a right channel. Verb. It's a plate. That's the plate reverb algorithm with a delay, digital delay. I think that needs a little bit more tweaking, but reverse is what I'm really trying to get to. That's really fun. Still going. SOS. That, I believe, is a looper. Yes, it is a sound-on-sound looper. 40 seconds stereo phrase looper. We have a looper on the board. Let's look at that instead. So the Loop Core, I had a previous version of that. It did not quite look like this. I don't know what the difference is, but it was a fine looper. This one has a drum machine in it. Oh, yeah. Oh no, I'm on looper. Oh, I was trying to be all clever then. Hang on. That's kind of annoying, but really useful. I mean, at least for that, that's great for practicing. Looping? I mean, how does one demo a looper? I guess one plays some loops. I'm a bit out of practice of pressing buttons after NAMM. The Loop Core has most of the functions one would need in a looper. It is a double tap to stop, which is not one of my favorite things in a looper. I like to have two, play, record, and stop. But it does have MIDI, it does have USB, it does have stereo, and, well, hence the name, the Loop Core Stereo. For the fact that it fits into one of these small single-sized boxes, it's pretty much a Boss looper, but with more functions. And you've got a lovely color screen. Is it 99? Yes, 99 different presets you can record. Settings, you can do all kinds of things. It's got a headphone out, so it's also a headphone amp. That's pretty fantastic. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. It works. One of the biggest things for loopers for me is how the foot switch feels. It's quite springy, so the learning curve of that is going to be... Hang on. you're going to have to learn the spring and the bounciness. What have I done? Oh, I've turned the drive core on. There, clear. Hold it down. Right. I'll try one more loop for some fun, and then we'll move on to the final mod core. I did have to tap a lot of switches then. Right, the mod core has some of the modulations in that you might need. Let's take a look at it. First, we've got stereo chorus. Well, I'm running in mono, so this is not going to help. Not a fan of chorus. I'll say that at the start. Although I do like that sound, that's nice and swooshy. This is what? SCF Echo. What's that called? Ah, it's the TC. I enjoy that. There we got SCF plug. Oh, flug. Flanger. I like that. We're going to have to put some drive with that. Amazing. Let's go for SCF Pum. This is pitch, vibrato, and chorus. Oh no, I don't like this. This is what I don't like about chorus pedals. But let's stick a bit of Verb with it. Not mod Verb. Let's go plate. It does make it more interesting. Alright, subtlety is the key there. Univibe chorus, I believe that says. Or co. I need a bit more rate on that. I can tap the rate with the tempo switch. Add some depth to that. I think that's very pretty. Right, Univibe vibe. That I don't like. Let's drop the depth on that. I like that very much. And then 100. So this is a phaser 100, probably an orange one by MXR. There is nothing on there that is unusable. Everything, as a non-fan of modulation, I like the sort of tremolo modulations rather than the pitch modulations. I don't really like pitch modulations, but I did just learn that adding a little bit of subtlety to it makes it more, to the piece you're playing, makes it a bit more interesting and gives it a bit of, it makes my ear want to listen to it more. The wibbly wobbly stuff, though, that can stay in the box. So unbelievably, I've covered every pedal a little bit. This has been a crazy video. And to top it off, the pedalboard seems sturdy. Let's put you over there for a moment. No, let's put you gently on the ground. Let's pick it up. Right. The pedalboard is sturdy. The power supply I had zero issues with. And it's not too heavy either. So even though, that is some weight, but it isn't heavier than it needs to be, which doesn't make much sense, I know. And they've done a tidy job of putting that together. Overall, if you're still here, my favorite stuff about this is definitely the Fender in the amp core, or the Silverback, that's a gorilla, Silverface, and the drive core and the metal core. The compressor, I wouldn't put on my board for fear of messing up the settings on stage and then suddenly having that pumping sound. That's more down to me than it is down to the pedal. I'm just not into that kind of, well, I would need to be careful with my compressor. I did enjoy when it compressed on the soft chords. I need to do more compressor work. The looper, I've used the looper before. It works wonderfully. The Verbs, it is a digital spring. It's not my favorite spring in the world, but considering you've got all these other digital reverbs in there, it works, and it works well, and there's some beauty stuff. The Tray Verb is gorgeous. Timecore, it's got some great delays in there. The fact that it's stereo probably helps, and if you're running a stereo rig, that's probably one of the cheapest ways to get a stereo delay. The Mod Core is a surprise for me. I set out thinking that I wouldn't enjoy that when I actually really did. But the drive core and the metal core are pedals that you could probably pick up and add to your existing rig without any of the rest of it. For me, the real stars here are the metal core and the drive core. Everything in the drive core sounds fantastic. The metal core with a bit of tweaking sounds great, and I would love to spend more time with that. I really like the tuner. I love the big bright display, but that switch on top, I don't know, it leaves me a little bit worried that it might cause problems at some point. It might be fine, it might not. From a small micro tuner, that's one of the best ones I've used. I'd rather have that than, say, a polytune, but the polytune is a bit quicker. If NUX could speed up the string detection from this, I'd be very, very happy. And the NUX Multitester is about 50 notes. It's kind of hard to recommend buying one because I know you won't, because this is a sensible thing to buy. I would say that everyone needs some kind of tester, and this is a very guitarist-friendly one. It has no functions in it that you wouldn't understand, like the rotary electronics degree ones, and it's a built-in tuner. So I guess if you're going to buy a tuner, you might as well buy this one. But only have it in tuner mode don't have it in the testing the cable setting because it sends a nasty pulse through your amp, which I found out yesterday. Yeah, if you're still here, I'm quite surprised because that's one of the longest videos I've ever made, and it's also very, it's a real video in the sense that I've asked Victor not to edit it too much. Would I choose this over a multi-effects? I don't know. I really don't know. I would definitely take the drive core and the metal core without a doubt. These would be very, very beneficial to any pedal board. If you want more information about these pedals, I'll put all the prices and stuff in one link, so you just have to click one thing. You don't have to go searching for it over YouTube. And if I've got my prices wildly wrong, please let me know what the price is in your region by leaving me a lovely comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!